Okay. I think we can officially start now.
We can officially start.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everyone that's in the chat right now.
Sure.
This is our first episode.
This is our first episode. In fact, let me properly introduce it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Deprogrammed podcast with CONQUEST and Ari. And now you are here for your regularly scheduled deprogramming. What we're going to be doing, we haven't worked out a schedule yet. Like I DM'd a lot of you guys in the chat, in my personal chat, to just let you guys know that we're on my personal page because we just started your Deprogrammed podcast on IG, and apparently it takes 30 days before we can transmit through here, so we got to do it through Radical on Fire. But we're going to work out a schedule as far as if we're going to do this once a week, twice a week. It's definitely going to be on YouTube. Vicky, what's good, sis? Let's see, Elijah, good to see KCA family here. Of course, man. I'm sorry I missed you all this year. For sure, man. So, yeah, so that's the podcast. But listen, before we get into anything, and there's a lot to get to. There's a lot to get to, right? I think Ari, a lot of the guys that's in the chat know me, but I think it's only right that we introduce the young lady below. And well, technically, she's above me. We're in the house, but so I think it's important that we know who our co-host is, and I think that in addition to her introducing herself, she should pretty much break down how we got here, how this podcast came to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to welcome to you guys, you and yours. You know me as CONQUEST. The lady below is Ariana Aparicio, aka Ari.
Yes, thank you so much, CONQUEST. JJ, as I call him. Don't take that nickname. Yes, my name is Ariana Aparicio, aka Ari. JJ and I actually had a very I want to say very spontaneous meeting when we first met. I was in the city for a financial meeting. I am an accountant full-time, and we basically met trying to do financial consulting together. Long story short, we became best friends immediately over our love of spirituality, music, politics, social commentary. We talked about, I think, why green is called green once before. Like we go all over. So basically, we were sitting one day and we were just like, hey, we would want this to be a bigger discussion because there were certain questions that were getting so into culture, our people, humanity as a whole, that we felt like the conversation was bigger than us. And that's basically how we got here. So I'm an accountant. I'm also being certified as a life coach. And we all know CONQUEST goes with no introduction. Nominated, award-winning artists, amazing albums, amazing music. I've been dominating the game for the last 30 years. So,
whoa, not that long. Not that long.
No. Listen, I could go further and say like he's been doing it since birth, but I'm not going to do that. But if music is in his blood, it's been there. But yeah, that's how we basically met, and we're just again really happy to have everyone here. We look forward to the discussion, the bigger discussion on. Sometimes we're gonna laugh together, sometimes we're gonna cry together, we're gonna pray together. But yeah, that is your Deprogrammed podcast as a whole. We're gonna get nitty and gritty here. This is not some conversation not gonna be safe. So I'm just letting y'all know now. That's the warning.
Absolutely. And shout out to my man AR, my man. Also,
hi AR.
As well. Shout out to you. So here's another thing I want to add to this podcast conversation, right? As far as how we got here, the genesis of how we got here. It was just one of those things where again, Ari and I are like best friends. We are best friends, right? And we have been for like the last year or so. And we would just have these conversations on the phone, like long 3-hour, 4-hour conversations about everything under the sun, things that we were witnessing, things that we were seeing in culture, in society, from the financial structures that's happening in the tri-state area to the Drake versus Kendrick battle. We were talking about everything that we could think about. And then after a while, Ari expressed to me really the fact that she's always wanted to have conversations like this in a podcast form. Like this is something that she felt extremely passionate about doing. Like she really wanted to take it there. Now, Ari and I, having a bunch of conversations for 4 hours, we decided to turn it into a podcast. That's pretty much what it was. On Ari's insistence, she felt like, man, the things that we're talking about really need to be heard by the general public. And I've always wanted a podcast, and I know, Jason, that's something you used to do. Can you co-labor with this on me? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Bump it. I know I'm in artist mode, but let's do it. I feel like our conversations need to happen anyway. So yeah, that's the long and short of that. Now, I also mentioned the fact that I know I see a couple of like people from my audience in the building. I pretty much made it clear that this is not a Christian podcast per se, but because, you know, a lot of people know that that's pretty much my background. That's where my faith lies. And of course, Ari's a very spiritual person in her own right as well. And she'll break down, you know what I'm saying, where her faith aligns as well. But we didn't want it to be a thing where, you know, you're expecting like sermons or anything like that. But we're going to offer faith perspectives on everything that we talk about, right? So we're going to talk about things that range from religion to spirituality to everything that's going on in the world. So I just wanted to make that clear so that if you hear us having conversations that might surprise you, don't be surprised. We let you know. And of course, I just want to let you know, me and Ari are not always going to agree on everything. Just like, listen, this is literally our phone call in front of y'all. Our phone call in front of y'all.
Right.
That's pretty much it, right? So shout out to Vicky, shout out to my man for the love of hip hop being back on. My man Angelo, actor extraordinary, he's in here too. Ari, let's get started, man.
Yeah, and can I just say, Vicky said Diddy and Gritty, which is exactly no Diddy, hashtag no Diddy. But yes, we will be discussing some conversations like that too. But our goal, again, was not to exclude anybody. We want everyone to feel comfortable here. We want to let everyone know that we speak with love. Hi, Angelo. We speak with love. We speak with respect always. We speak with honor and complete devotion to the Most High. And we don't obviously mean any harm. We don't want to offend anyone. So that's never our intention. It's always with love. It's always with respect. But as we know, there's some hard conversations that are going on in the world right now. And we just want to make sure that everyone's included in that conversation. Invite you guys to debate us, tell your opinions, you know, like we can take prompts from the chat or any type of talking discussion points. But yeah, we're just, again, very excited. You guys have been with us for this whole first, however long it's been, trying to get everything situated. So I think we're ready to dive into it now.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, one last thing. Our hope with this podcast as well, like, you know, like how there's certain podcasts that are like gossip podcasts. We're not that. We're not that.
Oh yeah, no, we're not. We're not. I literally have my Mac in front of me. We will be fact checking. We will make sure that we're getting our sources from legitimate sources and everything like that, for sure.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Our plan.
People might think I'm slamming Drake though. I'm just saying. I am a people might think I'm coming at Drake a little bit, but it's all with love, you know. Drake bodied him. I mean, Kendrick bodied him, but you know.
Yeah. We're going to get there. So listen, the last thing I want to say before we get into our first topic is the fact that, hey, we want people to come out of our podcast looking to change whatever they feel is wrong with society. We want this to be productive building and societal building podcasts. It's not like, yo, did you hear about this? And then we leave it there. No compromises or anything like that. We just want to make sure that, you know, our mantra is not just only to bring the information and disseminate the information, but also use the information to better our community.
And apply it, absolutely. And deprogram too, because as you know, a lot of things are coming to light, and a lot of us have been tricked, a lot of us have been fooled, believed in things that we thought was true that ended up not being true, how it shaped our lives, how it shaped how we raised our kids, how we taught kids, how we taught each other, how we discoursed with each other. So yeah, definitely deprogramming, is the intent. So let's do it, JJ, or Conquest. I can't use the nickname. That's a personal nickname. Okay, so Conquest, you ready?
Yeah, we're definitely ready. So listen, so let's get to our first topic. And you know what? Yeah, as I'm looking at my topic page right here, we're going to get straight to it. Shout out to my man Jay So in the building, Zay in the building. Dude, we got to talk about Diddy, since we mentioned him, right? We got to talk about that because I feel like, all right, so let me set the table for those who've been living under a rock. Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Diddy Combs, mogul, legendary hip-hop producer, changed culture in so many ways, responsible for some of your biggest hits, the stuff that's on your playlist, the stuff that you hear at parties, the stuff that you hear for the rest of your life, life-changing, game-changing music, life-changing, game-changing artist. It's Diddy, right? Well, Diddy has been indicted Diddy's been indicted with federal charges ranging from racketeering to trafficking to prostitutions. We've seen the Cassie video. Unfortunately, we've seen the Cassie video. And we've seen everything. We've seen denials and retractions. We have seen it all. And it's scary, to say the least, right? No need to rehash it too much. You all know if you've not been living under a rock. And it feels like, you know, since Cat Williams got on the Club Shay Shay podcast, he pretty much said that, you know, 2024 was the year of truth and exposure. And boy, are we getting a lot of exposure.
And a lot of it. I'm getting a lot of it.
Unfortunately, Diddy is, well, maybe fortunately rather, because we, even though, and this is a conversation that we've been having for a long time, and the name of this segment, for those who want to fact check, I'm calling this segment Burn Your Idols. Burn Your Idols is what we call in this segment, right? Because I think that sometimes, whether it's a secular artist or even a Christian artist, we esteem artists and people who are creatives way too much. Like, we look at them as gods. We idolize them. You've heard that. It's like, yo, this is an artist I idolize. And I think idolatry in every form possible is dangerous because, again, it will make you feel like you can't disseminate the truth. You don't want to look at the truth. You want to deny the truth. It's all idolatry, ladies and gentlemen. So Diddy's charged, and names are coming up because, you know, Diddy had these parties known as freak-offs, right? And there's names that either are coming up, don't want to come up. People are all of a sudden resigning from high-level, high-paying jobs in the music industry. It's just a mess, right? But Ari brought to my attention that there's a certain celebrity that's coming up in conversation that might be one of the last people that I would expect to be brought up in a Diddy indictment involving freak-offs and all these things. Again, burn your idols, right? So Ari, I want you to take it away and please blow my mind again. Like, which name you heard based on the sources that you have.
Okay.
Go for it, sis.
So
yeah,
her videos are going viral right now, but there's a woman going, basically she's in the circuit. Her name is Ali Carter, Ally Carter. She has basically branded herself as a victim. I say branded because we don't know for sure until she testifies or until, you know, things get further. But she is branding herself to be one of the victims of not only P. Diddy's ring, but also knowing certain high-profile celebrities that were there. She broke down in an affidavit how his parties or freak-offs were conducted, and it did involve allegedly a lot of minors being called party favors, meaning that they would sit the kids on the table and these adults would walk into this ballroom essentially, or ballroom, they would close the doors behind them to make sure no one can get out. And the DJ would start playing music and they would go up to these children and just pick them up and have adult activities with them.
Let's call it activities.
Yes. And these adult activities were not just, they were barbaric to say the least. Obviously, pedophilia and sexual assault and rape, but also they had them have acts with animals, they had them have acts with each other, all for entertainment. Now, one of the names that came up, there was actually 4. It was P. Diddy. She allegedly had Birdman on her affidavit, so Birdman being Lil Wayne's affiliate. We have in Young Money, Cash Money. We have
Brian Williams, I think is his real name. So it's Brian Williams, aka Birdman.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then we had Young Jock. And then this is where the segment comes in. Apparently, allegedly, Denzel Washington was also there. And what she alleges is that anyone who came to these freak-off parties knew that there were minors being trafficked there. Basically, when you walk into the room, you see the children immediately, like a table of candy and gift bags and everything else. That's how you're seeing children propped up on the table. Exactly, Vicky. Level of perversion, I would say close to demonic or whatever, however hellish it can go. But things that normal people don't even think about when they say, oh, okay, like, how bad could it really get? Apparently, Denzel Washington was named in her affidavit, and that took everyone by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google it right now, I think it's in circulation somewhere as well, but this came out maybe around 2 days ago when
Right.
she dropped her affidavit. Yeah, and that's where the segment comes from, burn your idols, because who would have even thought, in a conversation like this, Denzel Washington, someone who him and his wife has been culture icons, people aspire to be them, hashtag perfect goals or perfect relationship goals or whatever the case may be, and just a overall good guy, a overall, I want to inspire to be him. I want to be like him in the industry. I want to be like him like a father. I want to be like him as a husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the P. Diddy freak-offs like everyone else, supposedly.
So,
Allegedly.
yes,
Yeah.
allegedly, supposedly. Because we don't have concrete evidence that
Just have that victim's testimony, yes. But she did put it on an affidavit. She did submit it to the police.
Right,
So
right.
we'll see where that story
the
goes.
reason,
But that's the shock. The shock is Denzel Washington is apparently all up in this mix too now.
right. So I mentioned that, or I target that because, again, as Ari alluded to, Denzel has been, well, we know Denzel's a legendary actor, like probably one of the greatest ever. If you put a short list of the 10 greatest actors ever, Denzel, it has to make the list, right? And again, the way he speaks, the motivational speaking he's done, the way he carries himself, his character, his long-standing marriage. I'm not saying that the guy is perfect, but, as far as role models in Hollywood go, he might be one of the top tier ones. And I think it's shocking because it's not the name you expect, right? But again, it goes back to us really being more careful, or maybe even just recontextualizing the idea of how we might be in danger of putting certain people, because of their good standing, above the one who should be of good standing, God, whoever you call him to be, right? So it's just like, it's really being cognizant of the fact that anybody, no matter how great they may appear, no matter how much of a great image they may present to you, they can make a very terrible mistake. They can do things that are heinous. You know what I'm saying? They could be caught in a situation that they don't want to be caught in because, again, to err is human, as the saying goes, right? It just depends on how much of a mistake it is, I personally would hate to see Denzel caught up in that. But at this point, the way the world is and how depraved it is, I think we're getting to a point where nothing should surprise us anymore. I mean, I think I learned that lesson with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby? I grew up on the Cosby Show, bro. Like the Huxtables. Like, I think once Bill Cosby got outed for the things that he did, everybody's fair game. Anybody can get it. Anybody can be exposed and should be exposed. Because again, just like, and I'm going to use a topic like this, just like people from the alphabet community, we'll use that term, right? Sometimes are on the down low and they use being married as beards to cover up what they got going on. Sometimes these Hollywood elites use Hollywood and their fame and their image as beards to cover up the things that they got going on. So it's a lot of the same rhetoric, honestly.
And just to even pin on that point as well, it really goes to show, once again, how dangerous idol worship is. No matter, and again, we take that as out of religion more so, because we're just saying just idol worship in general. So you don't have to be religious to think idol worship can be dangerous to anyone. I think that when you have people that are propped up to be these perfect beings, I think that's a huge red flag. You can talk to a lot of different religions. They had their perfect figure, right? Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, and they supposedly are one, and there's no one else. So, in essence of that, we are all imperfect. So when people are having the brand of this perfect something, I think that is a part of saying, okay, let me take this person for what his craft is, or her craft. Let me take this person for what parts of them I want to better myself with. But as a perfect being, we have to step away from that. I think that
Right.
is one of the many detriments and downfalls to our culture as a people, is that we
Yep.
have put a lot of our entertainers as idols, a lot of our music artists as idols. Um, there's just so many of them, and we see our culture getting raised in it. We see our young people getting
Hmm.
raised in it, and it gets very discouraging sometimes, for sure, because now you're sitting here and there's a whole nother thing of yeah, just us wondering where the future is, where the future is, where the future goes in terms of what are our children going to be listening to, who are they going to look up to. Well, they're supposed to look up to our leaders who were basically vetted and coached to be leaders.
Right.
Yeah, not
No,
the
I agree.
title that was
I
pushed
agree.
on them. So I don't think Denzel is a self-proclaimed leader. Every interview that I've looked at, he is the great actor. He always says that he's an actor. That's all he ever says. He says, I'm an actor, I'm a husband. If we put it on him to have a idol worship, then what that means is that we put that title on him looking for something. So I think that's more of a commentary of us as a people saying, okay, why did we want Denzel Washington as idol, right? Like, what are we looking for? Like, what are we looking to make us whole as a people?
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. I would say also that, yeah, I think everything that you're saying is perfectly said. I think that, yeah, we have to be careful of how we really put these people on pedestals that they can't really reach and touch. You know, I think it's the same thing that happened with, you know, when we look at the Kendrick Lamar situation as far as how he won this battle and how he became much more of a cultural icon because of it. We have to be careful of not putting himself in a place where he might be too high to come down. Because of some scandal he might be embroiled in or something that he might be outed for, because again, you're still dealing with human beings at the end of the day. So I just want to say that's important, because again, we have to be mindful of the fact that there is an image that people sometimes hide behind to do dirt. And so I feel like that goes from entertainers to pastors to, listen, man, from my own personal experience, I've seen some really grimy things happen in that space, right? Where the people you figure were of moral ground and moral high standing, kind of like was hiding behind a whole guise to do what they do.
So I have a question for you, JJ, and let's ask people too. Like, what's the most shocking name to come out of this for you?
I mean, the whole Diddy situation,
Yeah.
I think Denzel might top the list, honestly. I think everybody else that I've heard names associated with, they unfortunately, I'm not saying that their reputation is evil, but they've been known to be involved or connected to controversial, questionable things, right? You know, Young Jock was on a show called Love and Hip Hop, and his reputation that was portrayed on him on there wasn't the best, right? Birdman, you know, gang culture, you know, those associations, those ties, right? So who knows how far it goes or how little it goes. I think Denzel is just more, maybe, again, one of the more squeaky clean, if you want to call it that, celebrities that you can pretty much connect or attach to a name or a situation like this, right? It doesn't get, well, maybe it could, but it hardly gets any squeakier clean than Denzel
It's true.
Washington. So that's the shocking one for me. That's the last name on my bingo card, personally, as far as just like somebody attached to this. How about you?
I would say the same. I
Yeah,
think the Denzel's definitely the most shocking, for sure. That was
definitely more shocking.
definitely most allegedly, guys, allegedly. But yeah, he's definitely the most shocking to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be shocked slash disappointed slash I don't know. I'm of the opinion again of this. I like Denzel as an actor. Never associate him as a person because we were never taught to know these people. We have never ran into them. I personally have never met him. So I like a lot of his movies, Book of Eli being one of my favorites. Um, my
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend just introduced me to all the Equalizers, so we just binge those. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's he's had an incredible career, incredible career.
Incredible. Incredible.
So when this comes out is like I would rather be disappointed than continue living in a lie.
Right.
So now what this does for me is that it allows me to isolate Denzel. Like, oh, okay, if you're caught up in this, that's fine, but you already have your art. Your art is still incredible, and I can enjoy that part of you, right? I can enjoy
Right.
that part. And that also brings up another question, JJ. Like, do you still listen to R. Kelly, or do you still listen to anyone like that after they've get convicted of anything, or are you able to separate artist from person?
Am I able to compartmentalize that
Yeah.
way? I would say, well, I think, well, let's break it down bit by bit, right? There's an artist I'm thinking about right now that I still listen to his music, wear his merch, but as of right now, there's a lot of rumors that he's done things. He was obviously brought to charges against it. Then he was cleared of the charges. Obviously, I'm talking about Michael Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, for those who couldn't guess. So that's maybe the closest to that. But Kelly, no, I have to say that I have not listened to R. Kelly purposely in
Okay.
a very long while
So
since
when
he got
"Step in the Name of Love" come on, you don't bop. You just be like,
Well, here's the thing.
boom, just forget about it.
Right.
Like at the
Good
barbecue, I'm talking
question.
about at the barbecue. When you go to barbecue, you put potato salad on your plate and like "Step in the Name of Love." When that thing come on, do you start and then be like, no, or do you literally just?
Okay, so listen, hear my words, right? I haven't purposely
Okay,
sought out his music. Like, I
got
don't
you.
go on Spotify, and R. Kelly is probably the 200th name I'm probably going to pull up on my Spotify playlist, right? Or in my choice of music for that day. But if the music does come on at a wedding, day party, whatever, yeah, two-step may happen, right? A vibe may happen. But then I can only imagine so many conflicted people in the building. I can sense it's gonna be a slow two-step. It'll be like everybody looking around like, are you gonna two-step? Are you gonna dance? Maybe, you know what
Maybe, I
I'm
don't
saying?
know. We might just, or maybe
But
someone
I
do a
think
cover, a famous cover, so that we don't have to worry about it or something.
something like that, yeah. But I'm not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a situation where if the music comes on, I'm gonna walk out. I don't think it's that deep, But yeah, as
So let
far as
me.
me
Okay.
purposely going seeking out the music, I would say
Okay.
no.
So do you think that, so broader question now, and again, everyone in
Mhm.
chat can feel free to jump in. Do you feel that if you dedicate your life to a craft and as a person you are flawed in other areas, should that sin or that deed overwrite or completely destroy or negate what you've accomplished in your career?
Um, that's a good question. I I didn't want to say this, but I'm going to because it's the honest answer I can give. It's a case by case basis, honestly,
Okay.
for me. I think there's people who, let's take sports, right? Recently, Pete Rose, famous, legendary baseball player, he recently died in '84, and he got caught with steroids and all that other stuff, performance enhancing drugs, and it kept him out of the Hall of Fame for that. Now there's word that maybe he will be after he died, right? And I've seen the separation of people saying, well, he took in drugs, but then other people will be like, yo, he should still go in the Hall of Fame because still that doesn't completely negate his whole career, right? But that's enhancing drugs. Now we're talking about more nefarious acts, like,
Mm-hmm.
child endangerment, predatory behavior. I think it is case by case. I think that, I don't know. I think there's a level of appreciation for the work that somebody might do and how it may have positively affected people. I mean, how many people graduated to I Believe I Can Fly, right? Like, there's just certain musical landscapes that's just
Or
never
Cry
going to
to
be
You Are
washed
Not
away.
Alone, that had Michael Jackson and R. Kelly as the writer. For those who don't know, R. Kelly wrote that song, Michael Jackson performed it, and I cried to that song numerous times. Numerous times.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because again, people are giving gifts from the Most High. It's really what it is. Like unfortunately and sadly, some of the most gifted people are sometimes some of the most demented people. It's just one of those things. So I think it's really a case by case situation. It's a matter of taste. It depends on how much you can really stomach, to be quite honest with you. There's certain things that I can't quote. So yeah, speaking of taste, that's actually a good segue. I got breaking news, and it's still along this line, and we're going to get to some other things that we want to talk about. So we're discussing the Diddy charges and all these things. Now, like I said at the top of our conversation, Cat Williams said on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp that this is the year of exposure. Like everything's coming out. Everything's going to be exposed. The truth will come to light.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to set you free, might lock you up, but the truth will come to light, right?
Listen, for those of us who didn't do nothing, we safe. We already know who those people are. We safe. We chilling. We doing podcasts. We sit on the couch. We at work 9 to 5. We ain't worried about it. We ain't worried. It's God's side and the other side. To quote Cat Williams.
There are lessons to be learned from situations like this, so that you're not in the same position.
Yes.
Case in point.
Absolutely.
So, breaking news. Ari, I don't know if you know this, but I know you've been working all day, so I doubt you do. So, breaking news came out today that another entertainer may be exposed and under the gun, and I have serious questions about this personally. And it may be a question.
Let me get Google ready. Okay.
You may not be expecting this. So this literally broke today. So one of the greatest entertainers in modern day music right now is, of course, Chris Brown. Right? Chris Brown has had a storied career. Incredible performer, incredible dancer, incredible singer, incredible multi-hyphenate. He does art good. Great, actually, right? So the same people behind Quiet on the Set have now put together a brand new documentary called Chris Brown, A History of Violence, and it will be airing on ID, aka Investigative Discovery. That news broke pretty much today, right? I saw it on the Breakfast Club. That's where I got my information. So yeah, so apparently I saw the trailer, and it's Chris Brown, actor, entertainer, powerful musician, who's also an abuser. And they go down, the music change, da-dong, like an episode of SBU, and it's going down the timeline and breaking down his history with women and yada, yada, yada. And of course, the clincher, they love to do this. There's a woman in the dark. You can't see her. Her voice is kind of distorted.
To be fair, they do that for victim protection because those people have less power and they have less security around them. So yes, as we've discussed actually yesterday, victims do, there's liars on both sides of the table, let's just say it like that. There's people who claim to be victims who are not. There are people who claim not to be abusers that are not. But that's the reason why they black out those people, so that if their story is to be true, it's ID discovery. So we're guessing or hoping they did their homework behind the victims they have testifying. Yeah, that they do it for the protection of them, for sure.
No, I'm with you. I was just setting the stage. For those who never saw it, I'm just kind of like giving you a blow by blow of what I saw. So that's pretty much what it is. And I hear you. But that begs the question. So, listen, I'm all about predators coming to light and being charged and being held accountable for their actions, no matter if it was 2 days ago or 20 years ago, whatever it is. If this had long-lasting effects, people need to come to the surface. People need to be held to the front of the stage and be like, hey, what's up with this, right? I'm all for that.
Right.
And I'm not, listen, I like Chris Brown's music. I'm not a Chris Brown stan. Whatever. I have one question, though.
Okay.
Part of me wonders, because nowadays, especially with the Diddy situation being what it is and how much headlines it's having, exposing celebrities nowadays is very profitable. Like TMZ making caking out right now.
Caking out.
They're making a ton of money. there's a show designed by TMZ that's on Tubi right now, the investigation of Diddy or the fall of Diddy, or whatever the case may be. Listen, the trial hasn't even really started yet, and they have this whole thing. Listen, exposure culture is profitable right now, right? Because the thing that I question to myself is, if Diddy was in charge, now this could go both ways. I'm actually even saying it out loud. There could be a yin and yang to this thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If Diddy wasn't charged,
if there was hashtag no Diddy, it was hashtag no Diddy.
No Diddy,
right?
right? If there's no
Okay.
Diddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would this Chris Brown thing get to this level? Or is it one of those things where it's like, well, maybe because of the Diddy situation, now we can get to the Chris Browns and we can get to everybody else? Or is it, you know what? This whole thing is making a killing right now. You know who's another guy who's walking around and there's a cloud around him as far as his behavior? Chris Brown is another guy that's there. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. Again, and I'm seeing some people come in. My man James, Evie, what's good? So,
hi guys.
Hello to y'all. We're in the middle of it. So again, just to bring you guys up to speed since you just joined, this segment is called Burn Your Idols, right? Burn Your Idols meaning that, hey, all those celebrities you love, from popular artists to celebrity pastors, they all could be no good. They all could be doing something crazy behind the scenes. And because we're esteeming them way too high, we're in denial of the things that are not good and they need to be held accountable for. You get what I'm saying? Like again, like I've been saved for a long time. I've been a Christian for a long time. I've seen some ugly stuff. I've had ugly things near done to me by people who you were supposed to feel safe from. You get what I'm saying? So again, it's encouraging you guys to be cognizant of the fact that just because Denzel Washington, for example, has a great appearance and a great image on paper and on visual doesn't mean he can't be tied up in the Diddy case, as we've now heard and as we've now found out, just to bring people up to speed. So anyway, that's my spiel on Chris Brown. Chris Brown, History of Violence, a new documentary that's coming out exposing Chris Brown. That's my take. Ari, what do you think?
So to your question, I had 2 points. So even going back to Burn Your Idols, I just came up with like a saying in my head that, again, let's put it on a shirt, let's make merchandise. But your only idol should be the best version of yourself. That should be anyone's only idol. The best version of who you can be here. And when you get there, you can congratulate yourself from getting there. Like, there is nothing else I could perfect. I've done the best I could with this. But as we know, as I was a former Catholic, Baptist, a couple other religions we'll get into in future episodes. But there is no such thing as perfection. As humans, we strive for that. That's the goal. The goal is to keep getting better and better and better. So that's a quote that came to mind where it's just like, just put the best version of you and make that your idol, right? And then the second thing would be that, yes, this is not just the year of exposure, like you said, that this is also the year of accountability. And I think that people are, Chris Brown, I would hope, if he did do these things that they're saying, the victims are coming out and saying that he did, I would hope that at any time, regardless of Diddy or not, these people would be exposed for what they've done, right? But that's just justice. There's a lot of us who have done, I guess, things that we can say, hey, listen, did I take accountability for it in private? Did it take so much accountability that I had to go to court? Like, I've been guilty of traffic tickets. I could have ran away. I could have not paid the charge, but then I would have got arrested and I would have been held accountable in court. So it's one of those things to where if he did do those things, I hope that he comes to light. But yes, it is profitable. Yes, exposing celebrities particularly is a profitable topic right now. Diddy, I would say, and yeah, man, they busy today. But I would say in those things that Diddy, we've never been in the era, I'll say it like this, to where the victims had a stance. I think what happens in history is that the minute we have like a new, I don't know what it would be, like a new criteria, like a new era, like this is the Me Too era. People always said that this was like the Me Too era. Now that we have like a new era, there are always going to be people who look to game the system and play it. So there's always going to be, oh, victims are profitable right now. People testifying to 20, 30 years prior to winning cases, like Bill Cosby's case, winning cases 20, 30 years ago on being a victim of something. There's always going to be people like that, but never, I don't think, ever, as far as I can tell in modern history, have victims been giving a platform, and not by mass news, by us, by the regular person that sat here and started a live and said, hey, listen, I know I'm never going to be heard. I know that I'm never going to, no one's going to listen to my live. No one's going to come in. No one's going to believe me. I went to the cops. They said, no, they can't do nothing about it. I went to the FBI charges. They thought I was just how do you say, a tip, right? I went everywhere and no one ever listened to me. And then I went to the people and they pushed me. And they allowed me to get my story out there, regardless of social media, regardless of mainstream media, regardless of the what we call the gatekeepers stopping the story. Yeah. So just like any era, of course, there's going to be victims who sit here, or fake victims who sit here and say, I just want cash. I just want the exposure. I just want to drop my new album. I just want to get my book out. I just want to do that. Right. But I think those people are few to how many victims now have a voice and a ground to stand on.
What would be the ratio, you think? Because I feel like there's a lot of cloud chasing going on. Like, I feel like nowadays when it comes to celebrities, it's not even, and I know this because I'm an artist, right? Nowadays, to get your product out there, it's more than just shooting a video and putting a song out and having a marketing campaign. Now you got to do all these type of shenanigans to even bring people, bring attention to whatever product you're trying to put out there.
Absolutely.
Right? And I feel like there's people in droves knowing what it is in this TikTok, Instagram era, and a lot of people are doing the most. And when you get to the end goal of why they're doing this, it's like, well, I just wanted to sell this new shampoo with my name on it.
No,
right?
I don't think. Okay.
So,
wait. So
with that being, wait, hold on, just real quick. So with that being said, all I'm trying to ask is that, in your opinion, I'm not saying that the amount of victims out there isn't more. I believe it is more than the cloud chase. But I'm just asking, what do you think, if you had to guess, what would be the ratio?
I don't want to do that, and that's a little. I would say that's a little dangerous. I wouldn't guess the ratio. What I would say is just that there's more validated victims than there are clout chasing victims. And I think that the people can do their due diligence. This is where I just kind of, you have to have faith in the justice system, whether you think it's broken or not. Like when these victims go to court, and again, P. Diddy has a RICO case. For you guys that don't know, he has a RICO charge. Those charges go for life. And the federal prosecution, that team, they have, I heard, like a 97% conviction rate. So they would not pull people in until they can really get them on the things that they've been studying them for months and if not years, and just gathering evidence against them. So faith in the justice system, where I kind of put that, which is why we always do the allegedly, because like I said, until Allie, for example, comes to testify to a court and a prosecutor uses her, again, even in court, there's this things called, I think, paid witnesses or character witnesses. You can pay for them. So I'm not saying the justice system is perfect, but that's what I lean on. And to me, if they went through the system and they got charged and these victims came out in the system, then I'm more, I have to believe that there's more victims that are being pushed that are actual victims. And just to your point, if they decide to monetize afterward, I don't think that they should be guilty of that. Because they, again, when they came out, they didn't come out for the reason why they wanted to come out. Let's just say the woman or man, right? Because there's men abuse too. Let's just say the woman or man were doing a business before then, right? Barbershop, hair salon, book writing, grant writing, whatever. And then the next time they go viral, it's about something in their past that maybe they didn't even want to talk about. The police are knocking on the door. Hey, listen, we heard like 20 years ago that you was at a party. Can you come and testify or something like that? So the world knows them like this, but they might not have wanted to be known like that. Like, I doubt these victims want to be known forever as P. Diddy's victims. Allie has a whole career. Jaguar Wright had a whole career before people started using her as like the truth speaker. She was in the music industry for decades.
Yeah,
And the most
Cassie, same
popular
thing.
she has ever been is now, as she's
Right.
exposing people, right? So I don't think these people want to be those titles. So when people come out as victims and say, yeah, whether it be a civil case or what they say, a criminal case, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Once they're done with that case, I think they can stand on that exposure and be like, hey, listen, thank you guys for supporting me. Thank you for the 100,000, 2 million people that I got from this. But this is what I actually do for work. This is what I actually do for business. This is what actually keeps me going. This whole being a victim thing was put on me, or maybe I even came out and said it, right? But that's not my life. My life is not that story. My life goes after that. So I don't blame the victims for sitting here. Like you said, sell the shampoo, girl. Go ahead. Sell the shampoo. Sell the oil that you pour on your wrist. I put Matavit on my wrist, okay? Like, pat, pat.
Right.
Like, do all that because you came out to the world, and if you are a verified victim, right, you not only have the world's sympathy, and I would like to say the world's empathy, which is even more, important to me, but you also have a blessing on you to now heal. And I think a part of that healing is that if you down P. Diddy, Jaguar was a person whose music was barred by P. Diddy and his people, right?
Allegedly.
So yeah, let her use exposure and start singing on a couch on what is it called, the Real Production or whatever. Let her sing on the couch and let people see how talented she is with her vocals. Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who did not know about her beforehand.
No, I agree, and yeah, I think that in that case that makes sense because again, you don't want to necessarily just be labeled just the guy who exposed Diddy or exposed half the industry. It's like I knew Jaguar right. I knew Jaguar right from the roots. I knew Jaguar right when she was doing backup vocals on Jay-Z's MTV Unplugged, singing the song "Cry." That's how I
very few people know that part of her though.
Yeah, so it's like she's an accomplished vocalist, like incredibly talented, but again, God had her pivot in that way, so
listen, sell
that's
that book,
interesting.
sell that telltale book, tell all book, do as many interviews, as many tours as you can, and do it to where you feel satisfied. You know what I mean? With the justice that you got, or that your abuser got, and everything, and then live on. Right? Heal now. We don't want you in the victim the mentality forever. No one wants to stay there personally or otherwise. But heal afterward. Now it's like, okay, Jaguar, after you're done telling us the story, what are you? Are you what are you proud in? Not what you're ashamed of and what happened to you and what you're hurt by, but what are you proud of? Yeah, what are you happy in, right? Yeah.
Right. I agree. Hey, so I want to switch gears real quick.
Oh, we
definitely started
gears,
off very
okay.
intense. So we're switching gears real quick, but still on music.
My phone
but
switched
we're going to switch a little bit.
Yep.
Something lighter, but important nonetheless, right? So this is something I've been personally paying attention to. Ari has to a certain degree, but a certain side of it. Now, again, it's 2024. Everything coming out, everything exposed. It's all coming to the table. Unless you've been under a rock, there's no way. Especially
unless
as a
you're
hip-hop
Patrick
fan.
Star,
Right?
People get that reference.
Unless you're Patrick Star.
Yeah.
There's no way that you don't know about the recent and still kind of ongoing, maybe Kendrick Lamar versus Drake battle that finally came to fruition this year. Early in the
They're not like us. They're not like us.
Yeah.
They're not like us.
A battle that's honestly been evolving since the blog era, but there was some tension. And then, long story less long, it finally erupted this year. And man, what a battle it was, right? But at one point, it was a trifecta. It wasn't Kendrick and Drake initially just by themselves, because again, for the last 10 years, we've been talking about the big three in hip hop. Back in the days, it was Nas, Jay-Z.
You following through.
Right. But now the big three was Cole, Drake, and Kendrick. Those were the three guys, right? Mentioned even on the song called First Person Shooter, one of my favorite records from Drake ever, and Cole. Great record, incredible video. But there was a person missing from that song, even though he was mentioned. Kendrick then came back and had a couple of choice words himself with the song he did with Future, Like That. That's the name of the record. And that's when the battle really started to evolve. Now, I say all this to say, I'm setting the table here. Cole was a part of that. Then Cole went on Dreamville, his concert, his showcase. In the middle of his set, he sat down, he shushed the crowd, and talked about dissension in his spirit, not being able to sleep at night, not feeling right about the situation. I said a rap, I released a song, I don't feel good about it. I didn't really mean half the things I said. And anybody who listened to the record probably felt that, because it's like, Cole's been on an incredible lyrical run. And I felt like his track was one of the weakest he'd ever done, because even though he's going at Kendrick, it's like, bro, we know you don't feel like this. Bro, y'all were supposed to drop an album together. Some of us are still waiting on that. We know you don't feel like this. So he went on stage in front of maybe 20,000 people and apologized.
Yes.
Apologized. Apparently rappers don't apologize in the middle of a battle, because all of a sudden, any chance of being considered the GOAT was stripped from him. It was a simultaneous hell no. Cole, what are you doing? You don't go on stage and apologize from a rapper. You dissed the guy and then you took it back, and all of a sudden, Cole's called everything short of lame. Like just he's disbarred. He can't be in the talk of greatest rapper ever. He can't be in that conversation. But Cole, being Cole, said what he said. Definitely sounded like he meant it. And next thing you know, we see him riding his bike around New York City, chilling, maybe popping up on the beach, while the whole battle is going on between Drake and Kendrick, and we all know how that went, right? But now, Cole seems to be back. Cole dropped 2, maybe 3 incredible cameos on songs from A$AP Rocky, who's dropping a new album very soon, T Grizzly, who's always been dope, kind of underrated in my opinion, and infamous battle rapper known as Daylight. He has a song with him too.
Daylight's amazing.
And these,
incredible.
Yes,
and he wrote a lot of songs that he is not credited for.
Right.
Yeah.
And these verses from Cole are scorchers. Scorchers, ladies and gentlemen. It's like he pretty much reminded us that, yeah, I'm still that guy with my pen and my bars, and you still want to hear the fall off his new album when it drops off, right? So there's some people that are still on the fence, but I think the overall resounding feeling is that, yo, the kid is back. So I say all this to say, because I've said a lot. Not only is Cole back, that's not even the question I want to ask. The question I want to ask and pose to Ari is that, in retrospect, was Cole dropping off the battle a smart move on his opinion? In our opinion, sorry, was Cole dropping off a smart move in our opinion? And 2, could Drake, who seems to not want to go away at all, could he take a lesson from Cole? Because in essence, after he apologized, Cole fell back. He jumped and did a thing called Grippy with Cash Cobain.
Cash Cobain.
That's too much,
She grippy.
And but
the tip me.
Yeah.
I love that song for laughing. Like it's so funny. It's so funny of a song. I swear to goodness.
I personally enjoyed it myself, right? And he did it
funny for real. You can tell he went in the studio, he was just laughing at himself.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, Cole, you 40? Like, what are you doing? Grippy? What is Grippy? Listen, I'm just saying, like, if she got a Grippy at your age, good on her. She be in the gym. You feel me? Yeah. That's a couple kids. That's a couple, life experiences. You know what I mean? Like, Grippy at 45. That has some good Kegels. I'm gonna tell y'all now. Y'all men don't know that's some good Kegel work. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't know about that. No, good Kegel. But yeah. But listen.
I can't.
But listen. So it's like, yeah. So Cole does that, and so he did joint with Thames as well. But he was relatively quiet until for a couple of months, and then he's been a tirade since then. So he laid low, came back and reminded y'all why you should still listen to J. Cole and why J. Cole is still one of them ones. So my point is this, is like, did Cole do the smart thing by exiting from the beef and running it back later on? And should Drake have done the same thing? Or does Drake even have way more things to worry about right now? So, Ari, that's your question.
Listen, man, Drake didn't, J. Cole didn't just leave, okay? We're not going to act like he wasn't going to put 10 toes down. He got advised by Kendrick's people basically telling him, "You don't want to be a part of this," right? What's it? Schoolboy Q. Apparently, it was Schoolboy Q that went there and was just like, "This is not the fight that you think it is. Like, this is not stereotypical
This is not what you
cipher.
want.
This is not your typical, oh, we just going bar for bar just to see who's the most clever." No, Kendrick went in with plans, and J. Cole was made aware of those plans and was like, "I'll see you later." So that was that. Like, and in fact, the reason why I know he stood 10 toes down, because people forget that he released 7 Minute Drill, and 7 Minute Drill was actually really great. The problem, and it was why he came out on concert, he said that he didn't feel like he wanted to out his guy. He felt like he was stuck in the middle, because he even said like, "Hey, listen, I'm sitting here, right? I'm sitting here doing these disses on Kendrick, but I don't really not like Kendrick. Like, we actually talk a lot, we get along, this, that, and the third." And he's like, "And I feel like I'm being forced to get into this battle." Schoolboy Q comes and like, "Hey, listen, it's not what you think it is." And he was like, "Okay, so I'll see y'all later. Peace." He, Drake, Drake is not only should he have done that, but now he's at a point where it's almost like when they say it's too late to apologize. Like, he gone now. Like, it ain't nothing you can do. It ain't nothing he can say. He was the battle. Him and Kendrick was the battle. If he was going to, I mean, he technically in his own way, he didn't apologize. That's how you know it's bad. He just deleted every diss he made, which is even worse than just standing down on what you said and then saying, "Guys, yeah, I messed up. I made a mistake. I apologize." No, he sat there, said his diss was way better. He told Kendrick, "Nah, you gotta come through." Kendrick came through so bad. He had receipts. He had evidence. He had plans inside of OVO. He was a mastermind. And this dude doesn't turn around and apologize. He doesn't turn around. He lied on him with what's his name? Dave Free and Whitney having an outside baby and cheating on Kendrick and a whole bunch of other stuff. He got outed for that. Instead of apologizing.
Family Matters record, by the way, for those who don't know. Who might be,
yes, Family Matters. He came and lied on that, only to then not apologize, but delete everything that he said. He's too busy trying to save his image that I don't think he cares for apology. He just thinks that time will go on and he'll be able to rebound somehow. Nah, it don't work like that. Like, you're not going to rebound from this. This was the height of your career. Didn't he just sign CONQUEST a $100 million contract with someone at the time?
So Drake did a deal with Lucian Grange, who is the head CEO of Universal Music, in the amount of $500 million.
$500 million. Oof.
$500 million. So with a contract that extensive, right? You're supposed to put it in. You're supposed to like get that work in. He's
doing Kendrick. He's gonna be doing push-ups until he like 82. Like, he drop and give me 5,000. You owe me 5,000.
Yeah, drop and give me 5,000.
Like, there's no way.
And that honestly, as I posed the question as far as just like, hey, should Drake gracefully bow out and just come back later?
There's no gracefully bowing. He ruled his own option, I think. Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to ask is that the fact that, is it so much the fact that, is it his own ego, which one would argue probably is,
Definitely.
Or is it that tied into the fact that he is now contracted to a label and it's just like, bro, you need to put this music out?
My perspective is that the contract fed his ego. So after he signed that contract, he thought because the contract was worth $500 million that he was the best rapper. And Kendrick said, nah, and flipped it on him. Because just because you're the most commercially, and this opens up the discussion, just because you're the most commercially successful artist does not mean that you're the best at your craft. It just means that you're the most that's pushed. So Drake gets a $500 million contract, as you're saying, from Lucian Grange, and that's what, Universal Music Group? Okay.
Yes.
And then he gets outed by someone who, before that, came off the largest or the most grossed hip-hop tour ever. But no
Yep.
one was really talking about Kendrick at the time. So it was just like no one knew these stats until this beef was happening. So you should know your competitor. He should have had more like an ego check or his team, right? PR, this is what you're here for, right? Drake, if you fire your
Mm-hmm.
PR team, hi, we're here. But you have your PR team to do this research and be like, hey, listen, if you're going to pick a fight with Kendrick, please understand the people love him. Please understand that he matches you when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to not only the craft, but the top grossing hip hop tour ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's about to go on another one, now with his biggest hit ever, right? So now you're
Right.
sitting here and the contract, I believe, fed his ego. And his ego,
Mm-hmm.
like the Bible says, pride before the fall, your ego comes to your own self destruction, or your ego
Mm-hmm.
feeds to your own self destruction. So he was never going to bow out. I don't think he was ever going to. He had too many yes people around him telling him, yeah, you can do this. You can beat him. You can beat him. And this dude is a Pulitzer Prize winning. Really?
So here's my thing on that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I agree with pretty much everything that you said. I just want to offer this perspective, especially for those who might be in the chat. John, what's good, bro?
Hi, John.
So this is where I'm at with it. I love the fact that whether he was advised to step away, or whether he came to it under his own volition. What up, Zay?
Hey,
I
Zay.
I admire the fact that, you see, the thing is, in this industry, as you mentioned just now, you didn't say, but you alluded to it. There's a lot of artists nowadays, especially when they've been extremely commercially successful in their career, that don't know who they are, or rather, they are not self-aware. At the very least, J. Cole is very self-aware. He's very self-aware in the sense that, you know what, I don't need this I don't need this in my life. You know, like, I'm good, I'm secure. I don't care what anybody else has to say as far as like, yo, I'm lame, I'm soft, or whatever the case may be. I'm recognizing that this move wasn't the right move. It goes back to something that Ari was asking, like, hey, does one incident throw away someone's career, right? So does Cole have to be punished or ostracized for the fact that he said, you know what, guys, this battle ain't really me. I'm gonna sit this one out. You know, because I feel like there's a lot of false machismo within hip hop music. That's what, unfortunately, a lot of it is bred on. So it's like the culture that's been cultivated sometimes in hip hop will force an artist to do things that they don't really want to do, but because they have to keep up appearances and they have to keep up machismo and a certain image, people end up being in situations that they shouldn't be in. A lot of our artists have been shot and taken from us way earlier than their time should have allotted for, because again, they got to keep up appearances. They have to have an entourage with them. Like, you're doing an interview with somebody and you got 30 or 20 people behind you, and it's like, why are these people here? Like, how are they helping your career? You got to pay for half of them, if not all of them, you know? So again, that type of self-awareness I feel is lacking in our music. And I like the fact that Cole exercised it in a way where it's like, you know what? I know me. I know I'm him. I know what I do. You know, the setback is a setup for a greater get back. That's my opinion. Whereas somebody else might feel like, nah, I need to fight this fight. And I feel like that's a lot of Drake, you know, like Drake, to me, Drake's had at least 3 battles up to this point with notable artists. Pusha T is one, Meek Mill is one, and of course now Kendrick is one. And so far his record is 1-2. He won the Meek Mill battle. He lost obviously to Pusha and definitely lost to Kendrick, right? One would argue, hey bro, maybe you need to maybe go away, maybe think about life a little more, go on the vacation you thought that you were gonna take, you know, that you promised us, and you know, and just fall back, you know, reevaluate your life, reevaluate some things, you know, think about how you were dissected and disseminated, you know, and come back with a really dope hit record. Here's the thing, no, again, say what you want to say about Drake, his lifestyle, how he moves, how he deals with certain people, the pedophilia charges on him and all these accusations or whatever. Drake is good for a good record. He's created a lot of bops in our lives. It's just like any other artist. Like, Drake is extremely talented at what he does. But ego will be the death of you. Lack of self-awareness will be the death of you. And it can totally erase and dismantle everything that you have built, because it's not like Drake can't come back with a dope record. You just gotta go away. Just go away. just disappear for a bit. Make people miss you. He can't though.
He owed 5,000 push-ups, Conquest. He owes 5,000 push-ups. He can't go. He's been in camp ever since he dropped that was it, the Heart Part 6 that flopped, and he was like, oh yeah, it's been a good exercise. I just had to stretch my legs, and you a worthy competitor. He was a worthy competitor before you even started. This whole beef didn't make him any more of a worthy competitor. But yeah, you're right. Ego is the fall. Ego is the fall. He is just getting And and it's an interesting thing too. We'll bring it back to Denzel. Would you stop watching Denzel if you found out like 90% of his acting was a stunt double? Because this is all the case I'm making. Not only did Drake get completely decimated in this battle, but then he got outed by his ghostwriter. It's like, we don't know who Drake is. So when you say, oh, Drake is good for a record, I'm like,
well, here's the thing. I have this is me unbiasedly speaking. This is as a rapper and a songwriter myself, I feel like I can definitely speak on this. Not saying that you can, because you have your writing. We won't get into Ari's history with the music scene in a soon to be released episode. But the one thing that came out of this whole debacle post Kendrick Drake battle was him releasing the gigs of material of him in the studio. I don't think that Drake doesn't write. I think he is a writer. I think he writes a lot of his music. So this is the separation. This is where the separation comes from. And these are just hip hop rules, whether they've been written down or just understood. These are the rules of engagement when it comes to being considered one of the best MCs ever, right? Drake is known to make records like Hold On, We're Going Home, Hotline Bling, One Dance. He has those records. And then he has records like any of the timestamp records, 6 a.m. and 5 a.m. in Calabasas, whatever raps he's rapping on there, there's those records. Now, this is my personal opinion. If on the Rapidy Rap records, you are writing all of your bars, but you're not writing all of the stuff for Hotline Bling or Hold On, We're Going Home, where you're singing, I can deal with that. Because the thing about being a rapper, being an MC, right? Part of the MC part of it, like being talked about like the Royces and the Eminems and the Black Thoughts, is that you got to write your bars. That's the equivalent of a singer knowing how to sing in riffs and high, like Christina Aguilera and Jill Scott. That is the template. It's like, for you to be known not just as a rapper, but as an MC, you got to write these bars at a high level with technicality and execute them. Absolutely. If Drake is doing that for his Rapidy Rap records, but not writing all of his sing-songy records, I'm good with that. I'm good. But if he needs help writing with everything,
I think I agree with that. And then there's a point and a question I have. So sure. A point to you would be, I agree. If they can only prove that he got help from his writers, so again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Writers go into the industry all the time not wanting to be the face, right? So they look for someone who has the vocal ability, the cadence, the rhythmic flow, the things that they practice, right? Like freestyling, whatever. And they look for those faces. They look for the producer. They look for the engineer. So music and art as a whole is always going to need a team of people. Fine. Right. I agree. I think what people need to research is what you said. There's a lot of his Rapidy Rap records that Daylight in particular said that he wrote for Drake. But the problem with Drake is that the people, obviously, we all know this, when you have like a single or any type of song, there's a list of credits. But we all know how many of us actually pay attention to the credits. we usually give the credit to the artist. We usually say, "Oh, I like Drake's song." We don't say we like Daylight's song that Drake performed. That's not what we say, because Drake is the face of that record. The problem, and this is the question I have for you in terms of our community, period, is that if Drake is not doing a good job promoting his team and the people who made him who he is, does he deserve the title of best rapper? Because someone who, again, that's the whole, okay, like when people say that LeBron's the best, right? LeBron's not the best because he goes 1-on-5. LeBron's the best also because of how he collaborates with his team, how he acknowledges them, how he's a strength in their areas and they're the strength in his weak areas, right? So that would be it in terms of that. Do you think that as our people, as hip hop is a culture that, again, is global now, so I'll say we started it, but it's completely international now. Do you think we lower the bar for our rappers when we sit here and say, oh, as long as you don't write the ones I like, or as long as you write the ones where, the bars are the best, you will be okay? Because I think that's where we fall short. I think just to answer, and then JJ, of course, Conquest, I would like to hear your thoughts, but it would be a thing of, okay, me and you had this conversation. What is Drake, an artist or a rapper? Right? We had that debate. I think that's where our standards fall. I think our standards fall as a people, and because I'll say that we made this culture, we made hip hop what it was, it originated with us, the standard's always going to come from us. If we have people like Drake being called the best, we are doing the whole hip hop community a disservice, because we know that for some of it, I think they said his verse on I Got Money, is it Money to Blow? Money to Blow came out from this. I was so surprised. It was the whole song, the rhythm came from this dude who is like Eminem. He's sitting in the back of a car and he's like, I got money to blow. He comes from like, I don't know where he is, in Indiana or something like that. But he's a country, I would say Caucasian, but I don't know what he is. But he light. So he light skinned. He had his hat on, and he said, I got money to blow. He's some country guy. And then next thing you know, when you hear about it, it's Birdman and Lil Wayne and Drake and all them on it. But that's one of his pivotal songs. That's one of his pioneer songs. I Got Money to Blow. He killed that verse. And then it was bit off a whole nother artist who was, again, being buried, being completely covered up. So I think we do ourselves a disservice, but I'll pass the question on to you. I think we do ourselves a disservice when it's our culture that we're saying, hey, listen, we set the standard to this. Drake can be the best commercially successful rapper, but he's not the best rapper. And I think the ego of Drake comes with people confusing the two.
Okay.
So what do you think about that?
Yes. So, great question, by the way, but I do want to make a correction. So Daylight, according to him, did not write back to back. And the reason why I know that is because recently I listened to a podcast.
No, I didn't say he made back to back. I said that he wrote some of Drake's songs. I didn't say he wrote back to back, just for clarification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I almost thought you said that. So Drake, I mentioned that Daylight because Daylight was on The Bigger Picture with Elliot Wilson, DJ Had, and Jeremy Hecht, who runs Hip Hop DX. I listened to the podcast maybe yesterday, and Daylight was on their podcast, called in because they were asking about the J. Cole feature. And of course, the subject of Drake nowadays usually just comes up. And just as a signifier, he was asked about how much writing was involved in him and Drake, and he, take it for what it was. He denied writing anything for, what did he say? He said that how he didn't write back to back. He said that how there was a conversation he had where he was talking to Drake about Meek Mill and that battle going on, and he had just dropped Charged Up, and Daylight said that how he was on the phone with Drake and he said, man, you got to go back to back on these guys. You got to keep going back to back on these guys, blah, 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 blah. And apparently Drake heard that a couple of times and said, you know what, that can make for a good song. And that's what ended up being the song. I'm trying to remember correctly if he said that he wrote anything for Drake.
He was known to be Drake's, just to pin on your point, he was known to be Drake's ghost writer. So he wrote several songs for it, and he was credited. So I'm not saying that Drake completely dismissed him. Back to Back, I know, was a point of contention because people think that's some of Drake's best work, I guess, or his best rapping on a song. But no, I never say he wrote Back to Back. Daylight was known to be Drake's ghostwriter. But then again, okay, let's go even further back then. The Weeknd would Take Care, right? That was his album. That was the thing that that blew Drake into the stratosphere then, right?
So to answer your question fully, so he didn't. Let's just say that Daylight didn't confirm or deny that he wrote a lot of Drake stuff. So that could very well be the case. But to answer the main point that you were trying to get at, this is why I think Drake went wrong. To your point, why doesn't he shed light on his team? I feel like with him doing the 100 gigs of video footage of him in the studio came a little late. I feel like he could have done that and shown that. The only person we knew about that was a constant collaborator, the only person that was a constant collaborator with Drake at all times was 40. 40 was the Dre to his Snoop, honestly. And so we knew about their collaborations in the studio, but we weren't invited in to figure out who the other parts of the puzzle were as far as the creation of these Drake albums. Unlike a Kanye. Kanye was really great at, even though he was known as a super producer, he talked about the time where he went to Timbaland and asked about drums to make Stronger, one of his biggest singles, be better. He talked about working with RZA. He talked about working with Swiss. He talked about the fact that he credited all of these 20-something odd people on a record, one record that he did called All In. I believe that's the name of the second record. So Kanye has made a reputation for making it known that, hey, I am a rabid collaborator. But Kanye's image wasn't hinged on the fact that he was trying to be the best rapper or one of the best rappers of all time, to be talked about like the Rakims, the Jays, the Nas's, and those guys. If anything, Kanye may have wanted just to be the best artist and at the time the best producer. I think, again, because Drake is not a dummy in the sense that he knows hip hop history. He's done stuff with Fonte. Like he knows what it is. So whether it's a cover up or just something that he neglected to do or both, he should have really been a little bit more forthcoming about the process. Because if he was a little bit more forthcoming, these accusations wouldn't have been as tight on him, because he made it seem like, yo, I do this on my own. And it's like, no, because the thing that people don't really talk about, and it's a thing that happens within the music industry, whether it's hip hop, pop, whatever, there is a thing called reference tracks, right? And it happens in pop music and it happens in hip hop music. When Jay-Z got this song from Swiss Beats called On to the Next One, everything was done, including the hook. All Jay-Z had to do was rap. This song is here. Same thing with Pharrell. Pharrell is known for that. Pharrell will give you not only a track, but he'll give you the hook. He'll give you the song. Literally, dude, just put your verses on it, and the song is done. That's really what it is, right? So I wouldn't doubt, to your opinion, that there was a Money to Blow reference out there that probably they heard and said, you know what, we like this song. We're willing to buy this from you, and we're going to put our verses on it. That's a lot of what the music industry is. And then there's the other parts where people are building songs from scratch, like Billie Eilish and her brother, you know? But the point is, we knew about this. Jay-Z, with the Fade to Black documentary, showed us how half of those records on the Black album was made. So there was no surprise that Pharrell was coming with the hook and the beat. There was no surprise that Timbaland was coming in with the music. And Jay is like, this is our genius. Now, Jay, we need your genius. Don't write nothing. We know what you're going to do. You're going to walk into the booth, mumble a couple of things, and then the song is a hit. That's just really what it is. But Drake didn't do that. Drake faked like, hey, man, I'm really that guy. And that's where the questions started to swirl. So I think to answer your question, I think that's where a lot of it. He wasn't as transparent as he could have been as far as his process, making him less credible. You know? I think that's really where it came from.
Okay, and then to the question of, do we do a disservice to our own our own art when we allow people like Drake, who is really the ego that destroyed him. It wasn't anything else. Like you said, he didn't do anything stereotypical for the industry. He didn't do anything not part of the course. So he had writers, but guess what? A ghostwriter allows you to buy their work for exchange of their voice not being, like, basically don't credit me. Like, give me my money, I'll give you a lyric, and that's it. We've had it for as long as hip hop was. I mean, I don't want to go back to true hip hop because I don't think we was that deep with it, but sure. Then you have again the artist. You even have the engineer, right? So when people say, "Oh my God, that beat's so catchy," Drake didn't do that beat unless he has producer credit. The engineer did that, whoever his engineer is. So even in that, do we do a disservice to us if we're saying, "Hey, listen, this is the criteria. We allow you to not write your own stuff. We allow you to not produce your own beat. We allow you basically to be a voice." And then here's an argument, I guess, to be had. Do we then blame people who can easily infiltrate when that is the low criteria of being a rapper in hip hop? Because anyone can buy a writer, anyone can buy an engineer, anyone can learn how to rap on beat. Do we now discredit that in our in hip hop?
I mean, listen, we did to ourselves. It's very much to your point. Like, listen, the talent level that's esteemed nowadays is, and I'm not trying to speak like an old head or whatever. It's just what it is. Somebody 16 with common sense would pretty much break down the same thing. Don't underestimate these 16-year-olds. These 16-year-olds are smart. I teach some of them. They're smart. And astute. Just do it. Like, again, we're in an age where you can jump on Fruity Loops and make a beat, put some vocals on it, on a $200 mic, and put it out on streaming platforms. And if it's catchy enough, it could go viral. Next thing you know, record labels on your door. Right. It's not the stringent A&Ring that artists used to go through. It's not Motown where you had to sing in perfect pitch one time because we only had this amount of tape and this amount of time. We're not going to Pro Tools this. We are, you know what I'm saying? It as much as it's evolved, it's devolved at the same time. It's simultaneously happening, right? And we are allowing it to happen. Yeah, it's a give and take. You know, it is definitely something that we are allowing and we're not policing enough. But again, things are coming home to roost because, again, another reason why these executives and people are getting laid off at these major labels is because, and it just came out today, I forgot to cite the source, but I saw this recently. I've been getting a lot of information lately in these last couple of days. Fake streams, fake bots, and it's not sustainable. These artists are getting away with murder. These guys aren't streaming the way that you think they're streaming because there's no money to show for it. And so people are getting fired because the investors are coming in asking, yo, where's the money from this? Well, then this artist get 50 million streams on this one song? Yeah, we faked half of that with the hopes of boosting the numbers. So now it's like, what? You're fired. A whole bunch of people, Junie Greenwald at Atlantic, all these people at Atlantic Records, they're all getting laid off because all y'all are faking it. And also, it's also showing up in the fact that half of these artists can't perform. Half of these artists can't perform live, don't know their lyrics, rap over their own tracks, barely can hold a conversation with the crowd, far less for an interview. They're all getting outed because at the end of the day, talent exceeds all. If somebody's dope at rapping or singing, they're going to last a lot longer. They may not have a hit record, but they're going to have a longer career that will take them into their 60s if they want to, because they have legit talent. Right? Whereas these other artists, thanks to TikTok, which is the devil and the angel at the same time, these guys are just trying to go viral by any means, but they don't have a long-standing, sustainable career model of any kind because they are faking everything. And it's happening in Christian music too. We're going to get to that in a second. So my man Macho, that's why I even threw that in there. Macho, stick around.
Yeah, for sure.
But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, that is what's happening. And to your point, Ari, that is why we are allowing this, because we have accepted mediocrity. As long as you can smoke hookah to it and vibe in the club, it's like we've accepted this. But I'm thankful one of the greatest things that came out of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake battle is that not only did a rapper get outed for his shenanigans, great talent is exposed. Kids cared about lyrics again and meaning behind it and intentionality and performance, you know? Like, people were awakened to the fact that, oh, so you mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't just have to listen to my booty hole brown. Like, I don't have to I don't have to just listen to
that is a verse to Sexy Reds. Before you say anything about us talking about booty holes, that is a verse to a song, okay? Before any type of algorithm pick us up, that is a verse to a song, okay?
That's a verse from a song.
Mm-hmm.
Sexy Red.
That's Sexy Red.
But
Y'all promoted it, not us. I'm just saying. So, but I agree with you 100%.
Say her name, honestly. I just used the line. Y'all figure it out. But anyway, my point is that these people are they are allowing the crap to happen. But I'm grateful and thankful that a new wave of music, according to D1, a shift is happening. A shift is happening in our industry. You know, after a while, certain trends got to die. And after a while, you know, with as much debauchery as we sometimes are attracted to, that's why the Shade Room makes so much money. It's like, hey, after a while, we get sick of it. And we want to hear something great, something powerful, something uplifting, something that's still entertaining, but still nourishes us. And I think that's happening in the wake of Kendrick Lamar and just him reassuming his position as one of, if not the top mainstream MC.
And rightfully deserved. Rightfully deserved and earned. And you mentioned something, actually, and I think this even goes to show, even when we reference it or use it as an example, Motown made some of the best music that to this day, those artists are gone. Most of them are in the ground. And I can still sing Papa Was a Rolling Stone from Temptations. And like you said yourself, they had a whole soundboard. You are not being released to public unless you got these 10 executives who studied listening to music, hundreds of thousands of songs, just to be like, we think you might have a chance out here. That was the criteria. That was the standard we gave ourselves. And then we sit here and wonder why our standard of music has fallen. Now, mind you, like you said, more people have access to it. But I believe that with the more access you have to something is the more you have to make sure that you put rules and certain guidelines in place, because now anyone can be it. So now how do we sort out the people who are the best? How do we sort out this? It's not just a black culture. It's not just a black competition anymore. You're in a cipher with people from France. You're in a cipher with people from Britain. You're in a cipher with people from Ethiopia and South Africa. This is a global competition now. So how are you now dictating that? Motown was where, I want to say like down south somewhere or something like that. But wherever they were, and we still have their music everywhere. We still have them all the time. We can reference some of the greatest hits we've ever known from that era. Just because the standard was so high before anyone even made it to, they thought we were the prize. So before they let that artist embarrass themselves in front of us, they were like, go back to the studio, tweak that. Go back to let the pianist change a key. Yes. You're singing off beat. And they used to be cruel. I wish we would bring back, what's that thing in Harlem or the Bronx where they do the drum? Apollo. A Night at the Apollo? Yeah, like I wish we would bring that back just to be. Yeah, but make it like more mainstream then. We're just like, let the people decide on stage. Like, get that. Again, it's nerve-wracking. Of course, no one wants to be booed. But at least if you're booed, what did Lady Gaga say, to quote her? She got maybe 1,000 no's. And she's also a very commercially successful artist. And I love her voice. Her voice is one of the, when she did that movie with, his name? Bradley Cooper, right? Yeah, amazing voice, amazing movie. I love those two in that movie. But point being is that we did it to ourselves with lowering our standard. I think we have to do a better job of saying, Drake, no. You don't only sit down for yourself, but sit down for us because we tired. Like, don't just sit down for you. Go take a break because we tired of you. And to your point of wanting to hear something new, trends come and go. The thing that I think people are starting to understand is what are we replacing an old trend with? That's a new trend.
Mm-hmm.
If we're replacing an evil with another evil, that's still a new trend.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
Yep.
glad that the trend now is not just a new trend. The new trend that's going right now is not only intentfully, I would even say God loving and
Mm-hmm.
truth seeking, but it's really quality. It's really a quality trend of we're no longer promoting mumble rap. We're no longer promoting I don't even know what kind of music Sukiyana and Sexy Red do, but I guess it would be like twerking music, I guess. I don't know. But we're no longer promoting that. We're no longer promoting again, you rapping, but that's all you do? Come on. Like, we're no longer promoting those things. You have to be in your craft. You have to give years of dedication. I talk about you and Zamina, who was in the chat for a little while. I talk about you two very highly because that's the artist I want to see in the mainstream finally. The people who put their years behind everything that they do. Everything.
Yeah.
Whether it be they dabble in writing over here, they learn to produce when they were younger over here. They tweak. They be on, like you said, Fruity Loops, tweaking away at 3 o'clock in the morning. Those are the artists I feel
Right.
like really need the recognition. Those are the artists that I feel in the energy are going to get that recognition, and I'm happy for it. I'm excited. Kendrick had to be the one that
Speaking
the
of
Most High
artists,
used to get that out there and to get that going. We all knew 2024 was the year for new things, so I'm excited. I'm excited for where the music industry is going to go, and we'll talk more about religious music and even Christian music and stuff as the time goes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, speaking of that, and I'm not sure what time it is because I know
it is
we might
two
be close to
30,
2 hours.
but I know we started late too. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
2:33.
So you know what? We said we're gonna keep it around 2 hours. So we're gonna get to, actually let's close out with this one, right? And Nacho, I know you're here, so your timing is perfect. Go watch the
We
rest
need
of it, by the way. But
higher standards.
Macho,
Yes,
since you,
Mac. We need
yeah,
higher standards.
we
Yeah,
need
for
standards.
sure.
So Macho, so this is the thing I want to end off with.
I said Mac. Sorry.
It's actually right, and actually, this is a perfect segue as far as higher standards in music. So this is the one I want to hit. So speaking of music that is well produced, well done, artistically on point, and with a better message than the ones that we're bombarded with on a day-to-day basis. So for anybody who knows me, the best classifications you can give me as an artist is I'm a hip hop artist who happens to be Christian, or I'm a Christian hip hop artist. Either one works for the most part, right? And I'm from that subgenre of music. That subgenre of music has existed for a while, but lately it's gotten more mainstream attention than it's ever gotten through Kendrick mentioning two of CHH's luminaries like D1 and Lecrae on the song Watch the Party Die, to the rise of Miles Minnick, who is on Hot 97, DJ Head Show, repping the Bay Area, has stuff like Glow Fest, thousands of kids going crazy. The guy is literally doing an amazing thing and doing songs with P-Lo, who are like West Coast hip hop stars out there. Like, I've never seen so much Christian artist content on mainstream music. Like, I'm so excited about it. And again, it's not even so much the fact that it's Christian, it's the fact that, again, it's an alternative message and the music is great and guys are paying attention and they seem to be open to it. So I'm loving that part of it. It's amazing. Shout out to them, all the people I mentioned.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well,
And now that the ball's in your court, don't drop it. Now that the world
right.
has finally given you the recognition you all that subsect has been fighting for, right? Think about the fight. You talk to me about it with your fight all the time of quitting, of seeing people who you know you, again, it's a craft, it's a practice. Back to your point, talent does not always beseech. Talented artists sometimes do not get the rap. I know a lot of talented artists that because they don't work on their craft, a lot of people who practice it are a lot better now. So what did Muhammad Ali say? That you'll always be the person, what they say, practice will always be talent, or whatever the case he said. I don't mean to misquote him, but it's something along those lines. But I think music is the same way. The people who practice music and make it like their sport. Hip hop is a sport. To shout out what's his name on YouTube. But I love when he says that. Yeah. Hip hop is a sport, man. It really is. Anyone who practices that sport is going to get better than anyone who's sitting here saying, "Oh yeah, I was born with good pipes. I was born knowing rhythm." Okay, but I practice rhythm. I practice every day for the last 365 days. Let's go into a cipher and see. I think that with that same thing is Christianity too. Christian rapping. You guys have been fighting to get the mainstream eye for so long that now that you have it, it's gonna work, you know, to whatever dedication and work you guys put into it. So now that the spotlight is on you, what I pray for that subsect of music, just as truth-telling music, is that all the years of hard work and what you guys said that you guys felt defeated, demotivated because mainstream wasn't pushing you, that it comes to light because hard work will always be acknowledged. So Christian hip hop will have a stance if all the hard work that was being said was done. When it comes to light, it actually was. And you guys will cement yourselves there for sure. But if it was just like, hey, listen, acknowledge me, but when we acknowledge you, who's here, right? Then we can't blame that because you had the shot and it's gone. So
love that, right? And I'm pretty confident because D1 in particular, well, actually I could say D1, Nas, and Lecrae. Those are the three that jump out. There's more, but those are the ones that have probably gotten the most attention. I think they've all, in their own way, three of them have been consistent with their messaging. Because for a lot of these guys, particularly D1, it's not even just the music blowing up. It's the message that he's trying to get as far as cleaning up hip-hop from all its ills and spoils and just bringing people morally to a different place. But this is the thing that I'm really tripping off of recently. And I just discovered it. So the sister name, she goes by Kayla Creates on IG. So if you go on Instagram, Kayla, I think it's Kaela Creates. That's her Instagram. And I think her handle is that she's an art motivator or an art something she says in the byline, right? So she put together a Spotify playlist, ladies and gentlemen. Now again,
yes, I saw this. Yes. Yep.
So, right. I had to get on this particular topic, right? So we're gonna close out with this.
Shut her down, boy.
So I want to first and foremost, right? I'm very strategic in what I'm about to do. I want to shout out all the artists. I can't name them all. Can't name you all. If I don't mention your name, I apologize. You know I love you, right? I want to shout out the artists like a Jared Sanders, a Jared Sanders, an Alcott, a C4 Cortona, a Richard Dolphin, Jared All-Star, an Adam. I'm not going to mention myself, but you know the vibes. You know, all these people, all these names, I can name a lot of guys who make quality, original, thought-provoking, and groundbreaking music, and they don't sound like the Christian alternative to somebody else. Jackie Hill Perry, Wande, all these people. I can go on. There's a lot of you guys. And then there's some other guys who, through this playlist that was put out there by Kayla, they're kind of being exposed as, yo, you're like the Christian Ice Spice or Drake or whatever, meaning that a lot of these artists are literally stealing music from secular artists and calling it their own original Christian work. How are they doing this? Because a lot of their fan base,
one of those artists too.
Macho, you know what I'm talking about. That's why you laughing. But we're gonna keep it a bean on your Deprogrammed podcast. We gotta do that. There are some artists who are biting. Listen, I have a song called The Imitation Game off a little album called Radical Interruption.
The motion picture. I was about to tag that one when you was talking about great Christian rappers. If y'all didn't hear that album, y'all sleeping on it. One of the best albums. I listened to a lot of hip hop. CONQUEST was the one who introduced me to Christian as a subsect. One of the best rap albums I've ever heard, period. And I'm a Tupac fan. I can quote back every almost Tupac poem, bumper song, the poem, the poem book. And that's one of the best albums I've ever heard. Y'all sleeping on it. Y'all should definitely go check it out.
Please do. Amen. Love that.
All praise.
Yes. So on that album, there's a little song called The Imitation Game. I do it mad times. It's everybody's favorite song on the album, man. Like, I can't do a show without doing that record. It's one of those. It needs a video, though. And apparently, given and I know I was going to do a video because of the subject, because it pretty much talks about this. The fact that, hey, listen, Christians talk about being God's people all the time, right? Let's Now you may agree or disagree, but let's just say that you agree. Let's just say you wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment, right? If we're God's people, right? Do you not think do you hold yourself back from making the best music? Do you think that we're not interested with being innovative? Why do we have to steal from the world that we're trying to redeem to make redemptive music? Like, that's an oxymoron, even me saying that the way I just said that. But that's what you're doing. You're literally telling your audience, don't listen to Snoop. Nah, that's a little old school, right? Just showed my age there, right? We're telling kids, don't listen to Playboy Cardi. We're telling kids, don't listen to Cardi B. We're telling kids, don't listen to Ice Spice. We're telling kids, don't listen to Destroy Lonely. We're telling these kids, don't listen to none of them rappers. Offset, Drake, none of these. Not even Kendrick. You're telling people not to listen to Kendrick. And you sound just like them. You sound like the complete...
Someone's lying.
Right.
Someone's lying.
You sound just like them.
Yes.
From the vocal tone to even the way you dress. You sound just like them because you know it's the sauce, and you know that these Christian kids and some of these playlists don't know any better. They just think, oh, this is a hard beat. This is dope. The way you rapping, whatever you're doing, you know, you're doing Christian drill music, but you sound a lot like Pop Smoke. The stuff got to stop. So anyway, I'm sorry, man. I'm ranting.
No. Listen, Conquest, go off. This is what Deprogrammed podcast is about. Go off. But Macho Perez said something. I just want to hit on that too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Macho said I've had many. Yeah, Macho said I've had many people tell me I should rap like this or act like that person. I cannot be anyone. I'm 100% me.
Yes,
absolutely.
Amen and all praises. But I wanted to just pin something to that because I think we're now getting into a time where people no longer have to be ashamed for what they are. A lot of the reason why people say I want to sound like this person or act like that person is because we don't think we're good enough by ourselves. We don't think we're good enough to sit out there and rap. Drake didn't think he was good enough. Didn't Lil Wayne tell him to rap about Canadian problems? This dude freaking out here rapping like he did a B&E before. No, you did not. You did not do a B&E. You were around real gangsters. Lil Wayne said, rap about the issues you know. Rap about being half Jew, half black. Rap about the racial confusion you have within yourself. Rap about why you wasn't connecting to blacks or Jews, right? Let that be your story. There's not one rapper I think I've ever heard. Oh, other than what's his name?
I think Logic is the only rapper.
Yes. See, there you go.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Logic situation. Logic was crucified for that. Logic was crucified, and I heard it in Joe Budden podcast. Joe was one of the first proponents of that. I never agreed with it, but Joe was just like, yo, he don't know if he want to be white, black. He always talking about this black stuff. Again, you have to have nerves of steel as an artist, because there are people that's going to tell you or say, because they have a very large platform, that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, but then complain that you're not original. Nah, dude, just do what you're doing. It doesn't matter if Joe don't like it or does it. And listen, I'm a Joe Budden fan. I rock with Joe, but I don't agree with everything he says. And this is one example.
We're not sitting here. Listen, if Joe was every 7 billion and counting person in the world, we would know what the industry looked like. It'd just be all his favorites. So even going back to what Macho said about being 100% you or yourself, we're now in an era to where people feel like they're good enough. But listen, guys, we're in a very blessed time. We are coming from decades, if not centuries, to where people were told them being who they are is not good enough. You have to be like that person. You have to sound like that person. You have to write like that person. So I'm grateful that and blessed. We're blessed to be in this time now to where people can stand up and be macho. Like, I mean, I don't know. We go back 100 years. Who was quoting that? I'm 100% me. Okay, go on with your bad self. It's just like we're now in that thing to where now not only is that a stance, but people are celebrating that too. We want that authenticity. We are championing it now. We weren't doing it before because we were too distracted before. Or when people came out and said this is 100% me, like you said with Logic, I'm getting crucified anyway. But now we're in a point of I don't care. Whether you like me, whether you hate me, whether you rock with me, whether you want to crucify me, I'm going to be truthful to myself. And isn't that not more godly than anything else?
I would agree. So shout out to Kayla Creates for now. The
shout out Kayla. Shout out Kayla for sure. That's going to be I mean, I'm sure it already went viral, but that's going to be a viral
Yeah,
story.
that's why we know about it. I actually DM'd her today. We definitely, because I posted on my IG stories that I was going to talk about it. She was just like, yes, sir, in the comments. I left just a message. I actually want to sit down and interview her, actually. I put it out there like, yo, I want to talk to her about it, because she said, even in the comment section, because there was a lot of commentary in the comment section. Shout out to Proper Excel. I saw that post that they posted about Kayla, and I went through the comment section, and a lot of people, it was almost like they came out the closet, not in a bad way, but they were like, yeah, man, this has been a problem for the longest. All these rappers, such and such sounds like Drake Light. Such and such sounds like this person.
Drake Light, I can't. And that's a biter on a biter. I'm sorry. Conquest already knows this. I'm not a Drake fan no more. I used to be. I used to love him. I'm not a Drake fan no more. So he knows I'm gonna make fun of him. Just so y'all know, so y'all don't get me. I'm gonna make fun of him every chance I get, every single chance. Until we get him on the podcast. People like, why are you hating me so much? I don't hate you. I love you. Just rap about Canada more. That's it.
We're gonna have a drinking game for the amount of times that she makes fun of Drake on this podcast.
Drake into everything like, oh, he's a Drake of murals. He's a Drake of painting. He's a Drake of art.
Incredible. But I went to the comment section, and I saw a lot of people share the sentiment of, hey, man, for artists that's supposed to be repping the king and supposed to be doing better, we should be a lot more original. I saw a lot of that. And then I saw a lot of other stuff where it's just like, yo, this person's virtue signaling, or this person's doing it for clout. Even Kayla herself said, listen, I just made a playlist. Some of the artists are even in on it. She didn't even realize or think that this would cause such a firestorm, but it's good that she did, because again, if our music is getting so much attention, because here's the thing, it's not just about the fact that the music is on Hot 97 and we're blowing up. We have a very powerful message that we're sharing. Yes. That's the important part of being on this level. Not just the fact that we're skillful, but we're sharing a very important message that the world needs to hear. And the more ears that hear it, the better. So the best way to do that is be just as dope as half of these artists that we idolize and love. Because if somebody says, hey, man, I'm an Ice Spice fan, but let me listen to this One Day sister. Let me see what she's talking about. Anike, actually, is her new name. She changed her name. If Anike is listened to by this random listener, and she hears Anike and she sees, oh, this sounds like the Christian Ice Spice, she's just talking about Jesus. I just rather listen to Ice Spice. We don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, why give them the same thing that they're accustomed to, but just drop Jesus on it? It's not gonna, it's beating the purpose. It doesn't make sense. It is okay to be yourself, to be 100% you. You have to believe that God gave you the gift that he gave you to be 100% you. You know, there's a saying that goes, no one can do you better than you. I think that's the saying.
We just said the idol thing too. Your idol should be the best version of yourself.
Exactly. Macho said brand new. Oh, shout out to my man Reflect. Yeah, Reflect. We're talking about, again, Christian music, or just music, just good music in general is in a good place. It's now at a point where I feel like powerful messages from the Kendricks, from the D1s, from the Lecrae's, from whoever is getting a chance to really be on a platform. Like Kendrick's about to do the Super Bowl. You know, pro-black Kendrick is going to be on the Super Bowl, right? Wouldn't it be cool to see a Conquest at the Super Bowl, a Reflect at the Super Bowl, a Miles Minnick, a Zay at the Super Bowl? Like quality artists that are saying something at the Super Bowl or at the Grammys or any of these highfalutin platforms. One of your best ways to do that is being yourself and not ripping off whoever's trendy. Because these trendy artists don't last. Half these cats can't even perform to save their lives. They're not going to be relevant when they're 30, 40 years old. They're not going to have a legacy career. They're just here for the moment. Why would you bite them?
And just to clarify, too, to a point, and then we can drop some trailers for our next episode after. But, yeah, there's nothing wrong with studying the world either. So I know that's a really big Christian thing, saying like, oh, the reason why they're able to, you know, I'm called like the political conspiracy theorist here, but the reason why I think they were able to get away with competition for so long, specifically in the Christian industry or the Christian rap genre, is because they basically tell the masses, not everybody, they tell the masses, hey, listen, you are not to go outside, right? You are to stay inside. You are to stay inside of the wall. But me, I'm going to go travel. You can trust me though. You
Right.
can trust me to come back with what I deem is worthy. And then we
Mhm.
wonder why, like we said, like a lot of the top rappers anywhere sound like what? The most commercially successful rappers everywhere else. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
studying, because I feel like an artist doesn't really know their sound until they study the world. Like, how do you know you're different?
Mhm.
How do you know,
Mhm.
like, Conquest, you know, you're a mixture of hip hop and rock, right? Like, it's just
Mhm.
like, but you had to go into rock. Rock goes from, like you said, you taught me things about rock, heavy metal to
Mhm.
I don't know, something where they just be yelling all the time and they be in mosh pits and stuff. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
such a world. Just metal and rock by itself is such a world in itself. And then
yeah.
you came back with that experience and applied it to Christian rap, or just rap in general, but you just happen to be a God loving person. And then you put you in
Right.
there. And
Right.
that's the brand new. That's the brand new. It's a little bit of me in the world. And I feel like that's
Mhm.
how they get away with the competition, is that they basically tell you to stay in the house and play house, while they go outside and they do the things that they know is going to make them better than you,
Mhm.
better in the industry, make them stand out. But that's how you destroy
Mhm.
competition, ladies and gentlemen. You destroy it
Mhm.
by telling people, when you
Mhm.
have control of them, to stay in
Mhm.
house. Stay in the house. Don't worry about
Mhm.
me. Don't worry about what I'm doing. You stay
Yeah.
over here.
Don't listen to Kanye. I'm gonna bite a whole lot of Kanye and learn all his chords and learn all his progressions. But you don't listen to Kanye.
You don't listen to
You,
Kanye.
Christian,
It's not in God's way
you
and will for
leader.
you to listen to Kanye. It's like, okay.
You leader, don't let your kids listen to Kanye. But I'm gonna go buy Kanye's whole discography though, and
I
come
shook
back and repackage it.
I shook hands.
As the Christian,
I shook hands
whatever.
with him. We had lunch, but you don't
We
go
had
talk to
lunch,
him though.
everything. But you don't go listen
You
to him.
don't
You go
go.
check him out. But I'm going to go grab Kanye's whole spiel and repackage it as the greatest Christian music ever.
Yeah,
You stole it. Don't
absolutely,
do that. Stop it. Stop it. Ladies and gentlemen,
guys.
this has been quite the
Thank
episode.
you. This actually
Yeah.
ran the whole 2 hours from when we started, because then we started like 12:54. We started like 20
Something
minutes,
like that.
25 minutes after
Something like that.
12:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, we got a lot more that we're going to talk about in these next episodes. We haven't established a schedule yet, but as soon as I establish that, or we establish that, we're going to figure out. We're going to let y'all know.
Yeah. Please
I know that
comment,
there's
feedback, comment what you would like for us to talk about, comment. There's nothing off limits. This is Deprogrammed. So we encourage debate. We encourage people to leave their opinions. We will do our best to follow everyone who's commenting, who's leaving posts and stuff like that. But
yeah, for
definitely
sure.
tell us feedback, and we will definitely get back to you guys with a schedule and the things that you guys want to hear and talk about.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of things that we haven't touched. Well, I knew we were going to hit like a couple of things. We have some flat earth topics that we need to discuss. We gotta, I know right now it's going on. We might
Don't
check it
call
out
me a
after we
flat
jump
earther. I
off.
swear to goodness, do not. Do not title me that, but I have questions. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, she does have questions, right? I know that there's a Lecrae Nick Cannon interview going on right now on YouTube that we're
We
probably
will
going to check out and get
out
back
and
to you
definitely
guys
get
on.
back to that too. Absolutely.
Definitely a lot of male-female relationship breakdowns that we want to get into. We're going to talk about
The
it all. We
Bryant
talk about it all.
episodes with Nick Cannon and Cam Newton.
Yeah.
There's so many of them,
Yeah.
man. Like
I think the
there's so many
Grammy
topics.
nomination just came out. You know, we have a deep dive on Beyonce that might upset the Beehive. Don't come for
Listen,
us.
don't come after me. All I'm saying, listen, I believe in whatever that amendment is to bear arms, okay? Don't come after me, Beehive. That's all I'm saying. But your queen needs some things said, okay? A queen needs to be worthy of her people. I'll say it like that. A queen needs to be worthy of her people. So if y'all gonna follow her, correct her. Correct her on some things. And hold her accountable too. Don't have your queen sitting out here walking on you while you sitting there laying down. Like, walk on my back. No, absolutely not. Listen, I can go on. Let me leave B alone to another episode.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jason Audrey Roberts, aka Conquest.
And I'm Ariana Aparicio, aka Ari, and this has been your regularly scheduled deprogramming. Yes.
Check out the next episode really soon.
Bye, guys.